Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching the television of Burkina Faso. Welcome to Headlines that I'm glad to present the top stories. The Supreme Commander of the National Armed Forces set strategic vision during his visit to General Staff School. Captain Ibrahim Traoré calls for stronger defense systems amid security challenges. Ouagadougou-Bobo Highway, a major infrastructure project launched under the leadership of President Traoré. 200 billion CFA francs will be allocated to accelerate the implementation of the project. President of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, visited the Tifo Amoro Institute of Higher Military Education last Monday. This first visit to the General Staff School provided an opportunity for the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces to outline his vision for the Army in a context marked by imperialist ambitions and the war against terrorism, a war that should allow the Army to develop its defense system according to the President of Faso. Tangaka Fando has more details.
In true war chief, facing the 28 training officers of the first class of this military elite school, the head of state emphasized the strategic imperative of the institute, which responds to the desire for sovereignty and indigenization of the training of Burkina Faso Army executives. According to him, the war situation in Burkina Faso should allow the institute to focus its training offer on the experience of conflict against armed groups. We must use war to develop our defense tool, says Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Faced with the terrorist Hydra, the Supreme Commander of the National Armed Forces invites the training officers to patriotism, to have confidence in themselves, and to develop strategies to eliminate the threat. To do this, the President of Faso insists on discretion in the preparation of operation to reclaim the territory. Discretion is a factor of success, said the head of state, while congratulating the interns and the management for the sacrifice and self-giving. The President of Faso urged the command to make this institute a reference in Africa. For the commander of the institute, Colonel Major Seles Joseph Moussa Koulibaly, the visit of the head of state is a source of motivation and inspiration.
Nigerian apologizes for violating Burkinabe airspace. The President of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, received in audience the Nigerian Foreign Minister, bearer of a message of solidarity and fraternity from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Discussion with Yusuf Tuga focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation and the fight against terrorism, and of course, the airspace incident that occurred last week. Listen to the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga.
We have discussed several issues to do with the security of our region, of course, the fight against terrorism, the way we need to work together towards fighting this menace. We also discussed the issue of a Nigerian aircraft that unfortunately had to make an emergency landing in Burkina Faso after developing a fault. It is unfortunate that the aircraft did not have there were irregularities in the documentation that it had in terms of clearance to come into Burkinabe airspace. It's regrettable, and we tendered an apology for this unfortunate incident. We also discussed the issue of a party leader in Nigeria making unsalutary comments about this incident, and it has to do with maybe misunderstanding the situation. President Traoré, the government of Burkina Faso And the people of Burkina Faso have been helpful, they've been supportive. The crew have been well taken care of, and it was clear, it was evident that President Traore was directly informed, stayed informed with about the welfare of the crew as they remain here in Burkina Faso. And this again underscores the level of fraternity and solidarity that exists between two African nations. And of course we discuss other matters to do with how we can collaborate together as well as with other countries in our region to combat the fight against terrorism. And Burkina Faso has recorded significant successes in the fight against terrorism. So there are lessons to learn there also. So there's a lot that we have to share with each other.
Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso to soon be connected by a modern highway. The construction works for this infrastructure were launched on Tuesday in Yimdi by the President of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, long awaited by the Burkinabe people. This major project aimed at linking the country's two main cities is taking shape under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore. The infrastructure, which will be implemented under the project ownership of the Presidential Initiative Faso Mebo, will be a modern 2x4-lane highway designed to enhance national connectivity and mobility. Funded from domestic resources, the project will be carried out at an accelerated pace. The head of state announced that at least 200 billion CFA francs will be allocated for this purpose in 2026 budget. He also called on the populations of the localities crossed by the highway to actively participate in the implementation of the project. In the same vein, the President of Faso announced the forthcoming launch of other regional highways. The Koudougou-Yako Road will thus be upgraded into 2x2-lane highway in line with the government's vision to connect all regional capitals through highways. President of Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traore, presided over the Council of Ministers on Wednesday. At the end of the meeting, the government spokesperson, Pegwende Gilbert Ouedraogo, stated that several major issues were examined and important decisions were taken in line with the aspiration of the Burkinabe people and the ideals of the Popular Progressive Revolution. Tangaka Fando for the summary.
In the Council of Ministers, last Wednesday, December 17, 2025, the Minister of State, Minister of Agriculture, Animal Resources and Fisheries reported on the provisional results of the agro-pastoral campaign 2025-2026 and the food situation. According to Commander Ismail Sombie, the 2025-2026 campaign took place in the context marked by the implementation of the Presidential Initiative for Agricultural Production and Food Self-Sufficiency, coupled with the Agro-Pastoral and Fishery Offensive 2023-2025. The campaign is distinguished by an increase of 9.2% in planted area, made possible by the securing of production areas and the resettlement of population. In total, 127,000 hectares have been developed by the state for the benefit of the producers. As of November 30th, 2025, there is a harvest rate of 86.4%, result deemed exceptional. Total cereal production amounts to around 7,150,000 tons, an increase of 17.63% compared to the previous season. The general cereal balance gives a coverage rate of cereal needs that is increased to 126.4% of the agro-pastoral campaign 2025-2026, a rate never reached in Burkina Faso. And for Commander Sombie, the effort a non-focus on the onshore harvest field, and the constitution of security. On behalf of the presidency of Burkina Faso, the council also adopted a report on the project of building an administrative and educational infrastructure for the benefit of the Technological Academy of Burkina Faso. This academy is a strategic establishment intended to train engineers locally in advanced technologies. This project is part of the vision of national sovereignty based on highly qualified skills and is implemented as part of the presidential initiative for good education for all.
The network of organization of young African leaders of the United Nations Nigeria-Burkina Faso will organize its international conference on August the 12th, 2026 in Ouagadougou. This decision was taken by members of the network during a workshop held on Tuesday in Ouagadougou. The meeting aimed to explain the reasons for the postponement, set new date for the Pan-African Youth Conference initially scheduled for December the 18th, 2025, and revise its themes. On the occasion, the head of partnership and development financing within the United Nations system called on the Burkinabe youth to move away from the paradigm of dependency. Bintu Diallo.
What I was saying is that young people in Burkina, in Africa in general, but in Burkina in particular, should think that they are part of the solution. They can't be begging anymore for people to help them without helping themselves first. And I hope and I wish to see next year, when they are coming to the UN to request for help or for support, they are coming to say, okay, this is the initiative in agriculture, in technology, in entrepreneurship we put in place. We have like 20 or 25 young people that are developing huge solutions for Burkina Faso. What we are expecting for you is your contribution to take it at scale. And for me, that would be the best thing that will happen to Burkina Faso and the youth in Africa in general. And I do believe that young people have the way and the know-how that, and they have access to knowledge today. The hundreds friends CFA they take to do TikTok, just should take it. Go on YouTube. They have tutorial. They can be the best engineers through tutorial on YouTube, or be the dumbest people by what they consume on internet as well. So it's their choice. Today, young people cannot say, we don't have access, we cannot. And the young people in town, in cities, should think of their brothers and sisters in rural areas, because everything cannot be happening in Ouagadougou or in Bobo-Dioulasso or in capitals and leave the other areas empty-handed. So one of the responsibility of Rojalni as well should be to take what they gain here in Ouagadougou to rural areas to be solutions for also young rural people.
Ladies and gentlemen, full stop for today's news program. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to the television of Burkina Faso. Goodbye.